Hello and welcome to Movie Trailer Trash. We just watched the trailer for Glass.
That's right, baby. It's time for movie trailer trash. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, this is Movie Trailer Trash. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Mr. Glass.
And that's Charlie. Wow, Charlie, that running bit where you just say you are whatever character from the movie we just watched the trailer for is so funny.
I'm considering doing it forever.
Oh, I can't wait.
You
I
can.
can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you doing these podcasts. All right.
Sorry, no, I'm not Mr. Glass. I am the Beast.
Okay.
No, I am
Wait.
Bruce Willis.
Okay.
Wait.
So, as Charlie is alluding to, those characters are all in this trailer we watched.
Bruce Willis, the character.
Yeah.
He's in it.
And, I mean, let's be honest, nobody knows his name.
David Dunn.
Oh, dang.
Yes.
I'm just assuming you're right, though, because you said it with confidence.
Me too.
So we saw the trailer for Glass.
The third installment of the M. Night superhero universe.
Yes, and I have to say, this is one thing I actually really like. We talk a lot about how people do too many remakes, reboots, sequels, prequels, and it's kind of lazy. I am a big fan of the long time coming universe, and honestly,
The long con, if you will.
yeah, and honestly though, it's because of Marvel and their cinematic universe
Damn
that
you, Marvel!
that this is even a thing.
Well, yeah.
And now there are people trying to kind of fabricate this, like manufacture it.
Dark Universe,
yeah.
DCEU.
With the and I'm thinking, just is the Dark Universe the one that was supposed to be started with the
monsters.
Mummy? Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was just the very first one they tried was just terrible. It's
I'm
like,
pretty
okay,
sure
guys,
that Russell Crowe was supposed to be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
which would have been cool. But here's the thing: I'm just saying, like, it's fine. Marvel manufactured it, I guess. They were like, let's do this thing. They had this idea, but they put so much care into it to make it good. You can't just throw it together. So many people see that something was successful and say, let's copy that and just throw it together real quick and we can make a bunch of money too. And it's like, no, they made a bunch of money because they put in the time. Well, anyway, the long con, M. Night Shyamalan,
Well, and also, it's possible that M. Night had this idea from the very beginning. Like
but
to,
didn't know if he could.
to make it more of a, superhero type story.
Sure.
But at the time, everyone was probably like, no one's doing that, and people are going to be confused by it, and they're not going to understand that these movies are supposed
yeah.
to coexist together.
Well, and also, I guess the thing is, he might have in his mind had an idea for a whole storyline, but that was like his first really big movie.
Honestly,
That was
I
the
mean,
first big popular movie he did.
Not to go too far off the rails, but the reason that works so well with superhero movies is because that's how the source material is.
Yeah,
The source
pieces
materials
that
are
all come together.
It's a bunch of different separate characters who exist in the same universe who have their own stories that eventually run into each other at various points.
Yeah.
And so the reason that works is because that's how the source material set it up. And so probably, I'm guessing, M. Night is a comic book fan, or else this character,
For sure.
Mr. Glass, wouldn't really exist or seem believable at all.
Yeah.
And I bet that he wanted to do something like that. And at the time, it was probably like, oh, it would be cool if I could do something like
Well,
this.
it was like probably super experimental. Like, I'm going to do a superhero movie, but it's going to be super realistic. And other people have tried things like that since, I think. But I think he was probably one of the first to do that, to make it not seem cheesy and out of, Superman wearing blue tights. It wasn't like that.
Because Unbreakable came out in 2000,
Yeah.
at the end of 2000. So it was right around the corner.
What a great movie. By the way, I didn't realize that it came out when I was 11.
Yeah.
And I probably saw it for the first time when I was 15, 16, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
My, sister and brother-in-law showed it to me. I just assumed it came out earlier than that, like when I was even younger. But it's so good. So let's just talk a little bit about what this is for people who don't know yet.
Set up the story.
Well, let's talk about the series. So we said
Okay.
it's a part of this universe. So M. Night Shyamalan, known for Signs.
Known for a
And-
twist. He's a
and-
twistman.
Well, hang on. Known for Signs and what's the I See Dead People? Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Those are probably his two
It's
most
really
famous ones.
it's really hard for me to say that.
Sixth Sense.
it's obviously
Sense.
easier for
You
you.
can just say Sixth Sense. You don't have to say Sixth Sense.
6 cents.
Okay. Anyway, you all have heard of him, probably. He made this movie before those movies called Unbreakable, and it had Samuel L. Jackson in it. Okay.
Maybe.
It was before Signs.
Yes.
I can tell you that much because I went to see Signs in the theater. It was the first rated R movie I saw in the theater. Is it rated R? Maybe it's PG-13. It was the first somewhat adult feeling movie I saw in the theater. But anyway, regardless, you've got...
Sixth Sense was a year before Unbreakable.
Okay, so Sixth Sense came out, and it was a smash hit. But then Unbreakable came out, and I feel like it was popular, but I do feel like more people found it later on.
That is definitely true.
It was fantastic, but basically the concept is that Samuel L. Jackson has very brittle bones. He was this kid who has this terrible disease.
So
What?
when you started off like that, it's
sounds
funny.
like it's
the
about
concept is Samuel Jackson has very brittle
This
bones.
is probably how he pitched it.
Hear me out, guys.
And so his whole life, he's been pretty much confined to a wheelchair because he breaks his bones so easily.
My bones.
He hasn't had a very good life. He's had a struggle. And so what he did, since he had to sit inside all the time because he couldn't risk going and playing with kids, was he read comic books.
Right.
He decided that if he was so easily breakable, surely there was somebody that was the opposite of him, that was like unbreakable.
Well, he became
right. That's
because
the whole premise of the movie.
So hear me out. He
He's-
thinks there's someone out there who is unbreakable.
No, but really though, I'm just going through this for people who haven't seen it. So his goal is to find someone, and he finds Bruce Willis.
He becomes so obsessed with the comic book world that he thinks that it has to
real.
be real, which,
But I mean,
spoiler alert, it is.
But in fairness, he has more to go off of than just that he's obsessed with it. He's not a regular kid obsessed with comic books. He came to the conclusion that if I am so breakable,
Well, that's like a real disease.
I know, and he's thinking if this is a real thing, if somebody can have such brittle bones, maybe there's somebody out there that has
Who is unbreakable?
the opposite.
Who has unbreakable bones?
Yeah, maybe it's just the bones.
Is there a word for the opposite of brittle? Unbrittle?
Yep. But you see what I'm saying. So
Peanut
anyway,
brittle?
he finds Bruce Willis. And I think after 18 years, we can spoil it a little. So spoiler alert. You don't find out till the end of that movie that the reason and the way that he found Bruce Willis was he caused a series of terrible catastrophes. to
He's
happen.
been organizing
disasters.
disasters,
Tragedies.
basically. Like train wrecks was the main one, plane
crashes.
crashes, stuff like that, to see if there was anybody who would survive them, and therefore be a lead to see if that he
Which,
could
by
find
the
a
way,
superhero.
there's got to be a better way. Maybe put out an ad, see if people can come and show you their cool powers. I mean, before you just go killing hundreds of people, Samuel.
But Bruce Willis would have never responded to that ad.
That's true, but I'm just
He
saying.
hated the fact that he had superpowers.
He didn't know. He didn't know until he was the only one to survive a train wreck. So.
Right, and so that movie ends with him kind of becoming a Batman-esque figure and Mr. Glass going to jail.
Yeah, Mr. Glass goes to jail.
That's the name of the second movie.
Mr. Glass goes
Mr.
to
Glass
jail.
goes to jail.
But that's kind of how it ends, okay? And he was just a security guard before, and so he kind of wears his security guard raincoat around
Yeah,
his
so
little
it's
hood,
really
and
cool,
it's just really cool looking.
Then,
Bruce Willis in his prime, by the way, he was such a badass.
17 years later,
Oh, is that how long it was?
a movie comes along that is M. Night Shyamalan's newest movie, and for a while,
Split came out in 2017.
yeah,
I thought it came out 2016.
the very beginning of
Oh,
2017,
okay.
January
Felt like a long time ago.
of 2017. Yeah, almost 2 years. The movie is, so for a while, M. Night has had not like a good run.
He's had
I've
a hard
never
time.
seen The Visit, but some people say
I thought
it's
people
very
said
good.
it was good.
But he had, basically leading up to this, had After Earth,
Yeah, which
which is
one
that
of
awful
the
Will Smith
worst
movie.
scoring movies on Rotten Tomatoes.
I've seen it. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I've never seen it, but I didn't know he had anything to do with that.
He was the director
good for him.
of After Earth.
Oh, well, but good for him for, being able to hide it so much I didn't know.
He did The Last Airbender,
I blame
which
Will
a lot
Smith
of
for that
people
other
hated.
movie.
And then he did that one called Devil, which is the like possessed elevator.
Yeah, that looked freaky. You know what? And I heard it was bad, but you know what? The other day, there's an elevator I have to ride sometimes when I'm going to this appointment, and when I go in there, I always feel creeped out
And so,
because it's an empty building.
well, you're worried that it's the Devil elevator from
Yep.
M. Night Shyamalan's
The other day, I
Devil.
thought about it for a second. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, this movie came out, and M. Night Shyamalan movies always have a decent amount of hype, and a lot of people went and saw it just because it was M. Night movie and it's James McAvoy, who is a big time
Well,
actor.
also though, the trailer looked really good. The concept is that
Yeah, we
James
did it,
McAvoy,
didn't we? Did we do an episode on
absolutely
it?
did. We
Yeah.
absolutely did. We both guessed it would get in the like high 70s or 80s, I
Right.
think, and we both said we would probably wait for it to come out to
Yes, that's right,
rent.
yeah.
But the reason we said that was because of our reservations, because it was M. Night Shyamalan, and we were like, I
we
don't want to
did.
be
We waited too
disappointed.
long to make reservations.
No, I
Oh.
was like, we don't want to be disappointed, but it does look really good. It looked fantastic because the idea of that one is that James McAvoy has 27 different personalities.
24, 6,
23? Look, the point is it's 20 plus. I swear.
23. It's 23 because the 24th one is the Beast.
Yeah. So what happens is in the trailer, it looked fantastic because you get to see James McAvoy playing several different characters just in the trailer. He plays a woman. He plays a little boy. He plays a creepy ass man.
A creepy ass man.
But he plays all
Hey,
these
it's
different
the ass
characters.
man.
And so this is the great thing that I love about what M. Night Shyamalan did is this is the long con. He didn't even hint or make any type of comments that would make anyone think this had anything to do with Unbreakable.
Right, yeah.
He
That's
just
the best
put it
thing
out
about
there.
it.
And so talk about, movies where there's a twist, right?
Right.
Like his whole thing is that there's a twist. Sometimes that makes you go, oh,
Well, and also, okay,
Right?
so like here's the thing about that. And
what a great twist.
Doing that is, so first of all, it's a great movie on its own.
So you don't find
just
out till
like-
the very end.
Just like a comic book where it has, if it's a
It's its
separate
own
character,
thing.
it has its own thing and it has to be good on its own or else it's not
It was
good.
fantastic.
And when if you would have hyped it up like that, then you would have had to put Bruce Willis in it somewhere, not just the
Beforehand,
very,
people would have
very
been like,
end.
I was waiting for him the whole time.
Right.
They
And
would have
so
been mad.
like
So yeah.
because so that new Fantastic Four comic book that just came out,
Yeah.
a big problem that a lot of people have with it is that the 4 members of the team don't actually like see each other the whole time.
Mm.
And so everyone was just like, oh, I waited for so long for a Fantastic Four comic and they didn't even show up.
Yeah.
But if you had like a separate character in a comic book and then at the very end the Fantastic Four showed up,
Yeah, you would have thought that was cool.
they would have freaked out. Everyone would have been
Exactly.
like, oh, God, the Fantastic Four's back.
Yeah.
And so you
Um,
see them the same amount of time, but it's just like, it's a better way of doing it. It's a
Sure.
more fun way of doing it.
Well, it was such a great moment at the end because we went maybe I think the second weekend it was out. We were just like, you know what? We've been hearing good things about it. Let's go. And I remember hearing like, stay till the end. There is a twist. And I'm like, what? I was thinking, what twist could there be? Honestly, like at the end of it, it was great. It was interesting. He like is this monster of a person and he's kidnapped these girls and all this stuff kind of comes to a head. And then, the police or you see it on the TV, the report of what
Yeah.
happened, that these girls died. And then it just kind of zooms out and you see Bruce Willis sitting at a diner's like counter
Mm-hmm.
looking at the TV, like with this look on his face like, oh crap, there's a bad guy out there.
Well, what I just saw, I
It was
believe. So let's
amazing.
go back to this trailer. So
Yeah, let's do it.
in this next movie, it seems that everyone is meeting each other and meeting up in some sort of mental hospital where they treat people who believe that they are superheroes. It's
Well,
this
and I'm
one
guessing
therapist.
who have also done crimes.
Right. Yeah, it's for
It's
the
like a criminal
criminally
hospital.
insane. And so it seems as though, or at least I saw in that viewing of the trailer, that he bumps into James McAvoy
Yes, at one point in the trailer
and
he
sees
does.
a bunch of cheerleaders tied up.
Yep.
And so maybe he was never able to find him or something. But
Well, we don't know because here's the thing. The trailer does not make it clear what the timeline is.
that's true.
Do they know each other before? Do they only know each other from within the prison and they all somehow escape? Because they definitely show that it looks like James McAvoy's character and Samuel L. Jackson's character are going to team up to try and cause all this havoc and just let the world know that they exist and hurt people, right?
Right.
Because why not? They're villains. And so it does also show at one point Bruce Willis busting out of his door. So he's
Yes.
clearly decided, he probably could have done it the whole time, but he's trying to follow the law. But if someone's in danger, he's going to do what he has to do, right? So I don't know if later on that's while they're causing a bunch of havoc, or if that's earlier on. I mean,
So yeah, the
possible.
trailer for this doesn't give very much of the plot. It just says all three of these people are going to be together, and
At
then
some
at
point.
some point,
At some point, they're
James
not.
McAvoy and Samuel Jackson are teaming up.
Mhm.
whether it's
and Bruce
before
Willis
or
is going to
after
have
any
to
of
save
that.
the day.
But-
However, oh, go ahead.
I think that there's going to be a fourth superhero
Perhaps.
or supervillain. I don't know which one, but I think that there is a kid in the comic book store who is not one of the main characters, who is not the girl from Split,
Fine enough.
who is looking up at something when and you see the back of his head, and I think that's going to be a big part of the story.
Yeah, there might be a special superhero. However, I do hope that the girl from Split, the sole survivor that survived the Beast, right, James McAvoy, she's clearly going to be in this, which thank goodness. I was so worried at the end of Split that they wouldn't show her in the next movie because she was such a part of why that movie was great.
Yeah, she's
First of all, she's
actress.
a great actress.
She's in The Witch.
And she's also, isn't she the one from True Grit?
I don't know. No. That's Haley Steinfeld.
Ah, crap. You're right. Anyway, she's a great actress. She absolutely is part of the reason I was enthralled in that movie between her and McAvoy and them working together. And she has faced the Beast, right? She's the only person right now in the world, as far as we know, who has spoken with him because he killed his therapist and he killed both the other girls that were captured.
Yeah.
So I guess some of the people at the zoo might have known him because he lived there. Anyway, doesn't matter.
No one has ever seen the Beast
No, not the Beast, but
except
I mean,
for her.
maybe some people know his personalities, but she also knows his name, his real name, which is supposed to snap him out of whatever character he's in.
Uh-huh.
That's something we learned last time. Obviously, it doesn't always work or it doesn't always last. But what is it? Something Crumb. William
I don't know.
Victor Crumb.
I
think that's
but
it.
I am excited to see all of his other personalities in this one.
Oh, it's going to be great. But I think that it shows her in the trailer talking to him, kind of like sitting down in front of him and almost maybe even holding his hand, like maybe they even bring her in to try to help.
Yes. I think that they bring her. I bet that they bring her in to try and get him to bring the Beast out.
Or maybe
Because they're all afraid of the Beast, right? Isn't that the whole thing, except for the girl and the creepy guy personality?
all of the scary,
sorry.
all of the
That was confusing.
personalities are afraid of the
I
Beast.
think that all of James McAvoy's personalities are afraid
of course.
the Beast.
Well, they kind of worship him too, though. But
Well, that's how it works.
yeah,
right?
but
That's how religion works.
no, I don't think that's what's happening. I think that she's trying to figure out where he hid the girls or something.
Maybe
She's trying to get him to talk to her like when he's a kid, because she talks to him when he's a kid and she manipulates him a lot. That's part of the thing.
Yeah.
But maybe she's trying to help in some way. I feel like she had some empathy for him, even though he was terrible.
And also, I think that the therapist character is probably going to
A
be
little screwed up herself.
a lot bigger deal. And in fact,
Maybe a little evil herself.
maybe they are in some sort of like evil Professor X school for gifted youngsters type thing. So
But
like,
she doesn't tell them. So
so
they just
maybe the people who are holding them captive are just a more organized, more well-funded version of Mr. Glass.
Maybe, because she does have a creepiness to her, and she says at the beginning. So, what's this lady's name? Do you remember?
Sarah Paulson.
So Sarah Paulson. I only know her because she was in Ocean's 8 recently.
She's been in a lot of other things.
I
as
recognized
smaller
her
roles.
before, but she's great. She was great in Ocean's 8. But
She was great in Ocean's 8.
She is the voiceover in this trailer, and she starts off by saying like how excited she is to finally meet these people. So there is a creepiness to her, but if you're studying people and you finally find people that are like you've been looking for, you could be excited. So, but there's so many questions. Is the point?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think.
super interested
It's
in
every
anything
time I
that's
see
happening
the
in
trailer, I'm just like, oh my god! And it's like when people go through and analyze trailers and like pause them like frame by frame for like BuzzFeed or something and say like, what is this? Look at this frame. I want to do that. Like I want to go in frame by frame. There's so much to it.
this. After we're done with this, I'm going to go back and look to see if that kid in the comic book store is someone different than any of the other characters.
What do you mean?
Because there was a kid in a comic book store looking at a poster of something, and I want to make sure that it's not any of the already existing characters.
Okay, because I'm like, who would it be? It
Maybe
wasn't
the
Bruce
girl.
Willis.
It might be
wasn't
the girl from the
Glass.
original one. Maybe not. I thought it was a guy. but
Huh.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, I mean, I think it's fair to say that Charlie and I are pretty excited. I think M. Night Shyamalan is great. You can be a great writer and make mistakes. And make, you
Yes.
know, and I think that if he had a couple bad movies, that doesn't mean scrap them all. But he has proven that he is great.
Everyone makes a bad movie once in a while, except for Edgar Wright. So
Right.
Right, indeed.
But yeah, I'm just saying I'm so excited. I think M. Night Shyamalan was so smart to do this. And talk about the biggest, most amazing twist ever. When I saw Bruce Willis, my jaw fell to the ground. And then the credits were up. The lights were on in the theater. People were leaving. And Charlie looks over and I'm still just gaping. I couldn't move. I was so excited. Nobody told me. I can't believe
I
nobody
think that
spoiled
I
it.
had heard about it beforehand.
You had. You
Yeah.
said there's something, but you didn't want to tell me because you didn't
Right.
want to spoil it. I was like, you better not spoil it. And I remember like waiting for this post-credit scene. Like, what is going to happen? That's the big twist. Like, I'm like, it kind of wrapped up already.
Right.
It did not occur to me that this was going to be some universe.
Okay, well, let's move on to where, when, and how you're going to see this movie.
Where? When? How?
Are you going to see this movie? Movie theater.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to see it in the movie
not even
theater.
going to wait. Where, when, and how am I going to see this movie?
No one cares.
In the movie theater.
movie theater.
This looks awesome.
I will see it in any theater.
It
Any
looks
s-
so
any shape, any
fascinating.
size, any type of chair or, amenities.
I'm going to want to see it first weekend because
Yeah.
this will be the type of movie where they could spoil it for me. Don't you dare.
Don't you dare spoil this.
Don't do it. I'll go dark on the web.
Oh, wow. What does that mean?
It means I won't look at my stuff.
Oh, okay. I thought that was some sort of threat.
No.
I'll go dark on the web.
I am going to see this movie. I think it will be wonderful. It has 3 incredible actors of our day: Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy. So kind of 3
And
different
what's her name?
generations.
What's her name?
And
also?
what's her name is amazing.
4
And
generations.
Sarah Paulson is good.
And also
Ocean's 8.
Samuel Jackson is older than Bruce Willis.
That's what I said. 3 generations.
But not by much.
But Samuel Jackson, Bruce Willis, James McAvoy.
Samuel
And
Jackson is
now-
not a different generation from Bruce Willis.
He's older than.
Barely.
How do you know? Do you know how old Samuel L. Jackson
He's
is?
80, right?
He just turned 80.
Yeah. How old is Bruce Willis?
60.
No.
Yes.
There's no way Bruce Willis
I'm
is
telling
60.
you right now. He's
We're
at
going
least
to the
20 years-
phones, people.
I'm sorry, guys. This is important.
This is the most important thing.
No,
right now.
seriously. Of course, they're different generations.
No.
Samuel L. Jackson just turned 80.
He's 63.
Samuel L. Jackson just turned 80.
I could have swore that Bruce Willis was at least
80.
95 years old.
Why? Because he's been bald since he was 20?
He's
so you
got-
just
he's
thought he was
getting-
old back then?
He's getting bird face. Do you know what bird face is?
No.
It's when you get really old and your top lip starts to come to a point a little bit and it looks like a beak.
That's so mean.
What do you want me to say? He's getting it. He's getting bird
Look,
face.
he's
And
60
I thought he
something.
was
That
going to be
happens.
70. I thought he was going to be legit
That's
70.
ridiculous. He does not look that old. That's offensive. And I'm sorry, Bruce.
Offensive?
Bruce, if you're out there listening, first of all, thanks for listening.
Thanks, Bruce.
Second
Sorry
of all,
about the bird face
I
comment.
think he looked great. I think that people forget how young he is because he was bald when he was 20 years old. Like, balding.
Balding.
Not-
Back
not
in his
like-
Hudson Hawk days.
Well, okay, like I was going to say, not like he shaved his head bald. Like, clearly he was losing his hair, but then it just reminded me of on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, she's like, Terry, you shave your head. And he's like, yeah, me and Vin Diesel decided to shave our heads because we think it looks better. So that's all.
Yeah, Vin
Sorry
Diesel
for
is
the-
like 58.
Sure. I don't
Sure?
know. I don't know. I have no strong opinions of how old I think he is.
So you don't give one
Charlie and I want to see this movie in the theaters. We think it's going to be totally fun.
And it is going to
Super
be
fun.
totally fun, but it might be a little underrated. More on that in our next segment, Rotten Tomatoes percentages. Rotten Tomatoes percentages.
Wow, that was such an official little
Yeah,
introduction.
did I throw you on how professional I was?
Way to go.
Oh, wow. Oh, way to go.
I'm so proud of you.
All right, but wait, let me say this.
Oh,
to
you want to go first?
Before you guess the percentage, before I guess the percentage, I want to tell you what the other two got in scores.
That would help because I might get carried away with my own emotions.
So Split ended up getting Rotten Tomatoes
86.
76%.
Oh, dang. That was
Unbreakable
close.
has currently on Rotten Tomatoes a 69%.
What are people smoking? How?
I don't know, honestly. I really don't know.
look.
I don't understand it.
Look, Charlie and I love superhero movies, and I get that. And we also love action and kind of big blockbusters, but you got to realize that we think critically about the movies we like. We do. That's kind of, especially since we
as
started this,
as much as I can.
but especially since we started this podcast, probably more so than the average just moviegoer who's like, woo, fun, monsters, action,
Although
whatever.
I do say that verbatim a lot.
What?
Woo, fun, monsters, action.
No, you don't. But the thing is, I seriously can't, like, looking back at that, I cannot understand that. It's so, the pacing is really good. The mystery of it all is interesting. I mean, this is blowing my mind. It has incredible performances from two awesome actors. This is blowing my mind.
Maybe they don't like the fact that his kryptonite is that he can't swim.
I love that.
Is that possible?
It's not that he
people
can't
don't like that.
swim. It's not that he can't swim. He
That is what it
almost
is.
drowned when he was a kid, and so he never went swimming again. He's afraid of the water. He probably can swim or could swim if he wanted to learn, but he's afraid, and the only way to kill him, as far as we know, is to drown him.
You could also probably gas him.
Yeah, just basically internally. You can't...
He's like Luke Cage.
Oh, he's like Luke Cage.
yeah.
Which, by the way... never mind.
What?
I was going to say, Luke Cage has unbreakable skin, so they create a special bullet instead of just gassing him. Get it together.
That show didn't know what it was doing.
Anyway.
It was lost, and we don't have time
I'm
to talk
sorry.
about it. But
I know.
I will say this: we haven't seen the second season yet. So
Yeah, so let's go into Rotten Tomatoes scores. Good to know that they got lower scores. 76, you say?
yeesh.
So I know it had 86 something when we first went to see it. It had
No.
really, early on, it had
It was
good
never
reviews.
over 80.
Baloney.
It's true.
Baloney.
It's true.
It's a lie.
No.
What about the audience scores?
I didn't look at the audience.
They had to be
scores.
higher. Okay, so I'm going to go with the critics' score. And I'm going to say that they're all going to get their wits about them, and they're going to give it a 78.
Okay, so almost exactly the same as the last one.
Well, much higher than Unbreakable. That's ridiculous.
Yes, that is
60 what?
ridiculous. 69.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. That wasn't as bad as I thought. But still, come on.
I'm going
It
to
deserves
say
70 plus.
that this one's going to get an 83.
Good. You think this one it'll be like, okay, he's taken what he has built upon and made it better. You think that's what the critics will probably say?
Yeah, and
Like he's
also,
finally found the
it has
perfect-
all of these people in it, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a very high production value and all of this different stuff.
Yeah.
I think that this one is going to be the one that is of the series, at least, that critics
people-
finally get behind. And also, I think that a big part of that is that they didn't really know what it was.
Sure.
Like,
I
critics
mean, yeah.
didn't know that Unbreakable was a superhero movie, and so
And I think
maybe
that's
when
why
they
so many
find
people
it out,
found it later.
so that maybe when they found out that it was a superhero movie, they were bummed because superhero movies weren't cool back then.
Well, and especially because just in general, critics like to act like they're too good for superhero movies.
Not
Sometimes.
really anymore. It's
Not
kind
as
of
much
changed a little
anymore,
bit.
but still sometimes.
And so then also,
But back
when,
then they
so
definitely
when
did.
Split came out, they judged it basically like a horror movie
Sure.
when there was a lot more going on in it.
It was more of a psychological thriller, and I thought it was going to be a horror movie. I loved it, though. It was so good. It was not horror. I don't like horror.
That is not true.
I don't like horror. I like psychological thrillers. And one time I was willing to sit
You do
through
the same
a
thing-
scary clown movie.
You do the same thing with horror movies that I do with rom-coms, where if I like it, I just say it's not a rom-com.
That's not true.
And so when
I
you
just
like a
said
horror
scary
movie,
clown movie. I
when
saw
you
that.
like a horror movie, you say, no, that's a psychological thriller.
What? Listen up. I think the audience is going to give it a better score. We don't always do audience scores, but I want to go ahead and guess. I'm going to say the audience is going to give it an 87, almost full 10 points higher than the critics.
Wow. Yowza.
I want them to. I
I'm going
want
to say
people
mine's
to be
going to be
excited.
about the same, 83 to 85.
I want people to be super excited about this because it's going to be awesome. Like, we should be happy that instead of just doing a reboot or a pre-boot or whatever you want to call
A
it.
pre-boot.
Um,
What is that?
prequel, sequel,
Is that
whatever.
redoing a movie before you have already shot the original movie?
Look, I don't know what I said, but
You said pre-boot.
what I think that we should everybody gets behind all of these reboots, right?
Yeah.
People are just like, Roseanne, yay.
Oh, bad
Really?
example.
No, seriously. No, good example, because this is
Hey,
my
did
point.
you hear that in the spin-off series,
They're just going to do...
they're going to kill her off, her character?
Yeah, they're just going to do her daughter.
No, but they're killing off the character of Roseanne.
And they're going to call it Darlene instead of Roseanne.
I know, but that's hilarious.
What else are they going to do? But anyway, no, it's a perfect example because you got Roseanne, you've got Will and Grace, you've got Fuller House, all of these things.
You got
and
Lethal
people,
Weapon. You got,
Yes.
What is the other one that was out recently? Oh, God. What
well,
was
I mean,
it?
they had like a Minority Report. That I
They
don't
did
think
have a
went well.
Minority Report.
The point is, you have all these different shows based on movies or shows based on
MacGyver.
old shows. And the point that I'm trying to make is people have rallied behind these. It does not matter if they're just subpar. We just take all of our nostalgia and say, I don't care. I'm going to dig my claws in and I'm going to watch this and love it. And that's great. That's fine. I'm glad you're happy. I really am.
That was so sarcastic.
No, I really am. Because at first I was like, this is dumb. But you know what?
I personally hate that you're happy.
You know what? Like when Girl Meets World came out, I was ecstatic. When it died, I was sad.
I protested it.
So I get it. Charlie's just joking. He doesn't care about Girl Meets World. The point is,
True dat.
if we can rally behind those just because we're excited because it reminds us of when we were younger, can we please rally behind something that is a new, unique story that was written?
Story?
A movie that was written to be a movie that wasn't taken from a book or something else. It isn't a remake. He just took these characters we love and made a new story. So let's rally
It's
behind the
so-
fact that we love these characters and let's go see it, guys.
It's so refreshing to not know what's going to happen next.
yeah.
It's such a a feeling that I don't have very often because
Yeah.
all of these Marvel movies and all of these other things that are happening are based off of comic books. They don't do exactly verbatim the comic books, but
But you have a good idea.
you
'cause
have a good
read-
idea of what's
read
coming
them.
next.
Well, and
And in
also
this
a lot
one-
of times it's somewhat predictable,
in
even
this
though
one-
they're fun.
You literally have no idea what's going to happen next.
No idea. I would say, though, I felt that way about The Last Jedi. I was super excited because I had no idea.
You have no idea to the extent that we don't know when anything in the trailer is happening.
That's true.
Like at all.
Like, at least we had an idea of the timeline for The Last Jedi.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is just like The Last Jedi trailer to me, where I kept rewatching it. And every time I watched it, I felt happy. And that's how I feel now. And I think that this is just like The Last Jedi will not disappoint.
All right, wrap it up.
Like how I threw that in there.
Oh, yeah.
All of you guys who disagree with me can go to hell. The Last
Wow.
Jedi is great. Okay, sorry.
Did
I
that
will
have
wrap
to
it
be
up.
added?
I will
You
wrap
did
it
it
up.
really nice and subtly,
Listen.
and then you just went all
You
out and
are-
said, "Oh, here's what I was
Charlie,
saying in between the lines."
You edit this, you are welcome to take it out.
I never edit
Make
this.
me sound better.
No.
That's fine. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. We have a couple things to say.
Woo.
First of all, this Thursday is our second movie trivia night in Kansas City.
August 30th, baby.
So all of you out there in Kansas City, please come to the Tapcade. The Screenland there, the theater room there is going to be us. And we're going to be doing it, and it's all going to
Can
be...
you tell that we wrote this down beforehand?
Listen, the trivia is going to be all about chick flicks and bro movies.
Uh-huh.
So a little bit
Rom-coms, action movies,
Mobster
movies,
war,
girl main
girly
characters.
romance.
There are so few movies with female leads that you could have an entire category that
That's
is
just
movies,
like movies
with
with female
females.
leads. But listen, guys, it's a little bit of something for everyone. You know, whether you like one or the other, whether you like them both, bring your friends, get a group together, and have a team, and you can win a cash prize.
So much cash prize.
Well,
I guess
the
it
more people
depends.
that show up, the cash prize comes from your $5 covers. So the more people that show up, the bigger the prize.
Whoop whoop prize.
All right, so we'll see you guys on Thursday night. Other than that, for those of you who have the unfortunate fact that you don't live here,
Wow.
I'm talking great today. For those of you who unfortunately don't live in Kansas City, thank you for listening and thank you for loving us. Please check our website out.
What is our website? mttpodcast.com.
That's the one. And you can also see us on Twitter at MTT Podcast.
That's a good place.
You can go to Facebook, Movie Trailer Trash Podcast.
It's not as good, but
What?
still fun.
Great place. Actually, that's a great place for us, though. We post a lot of stuff there. Check us out. Interact with us. Let us know if there's a trailer you are super excited about, you want to hear us talk about. Let us know. We will do it.
And also,
For you.
by the way, just to let you know way far in advance, I've already decided that we are going to do a small little mini marathon for these movies when this
Oh,
one
yeah.
comes out in January. So we're going to watch Unbreakable, we're going to watch Split, and then we're going to go watch glass, and we're going to report back, much
Yes.
like we did with Mission Impossible.
So
a
if
few
you
episodes
liked our
ago.
Mission Impossible episode, you'll like this. It'll be much shorter because there's fewer movies.
Right. It'll probably be
half
like
the
a
movies.
similar length
It
as
might
a
be.
regular episode.
Yeah, but it'll be a great time. So lots to look forward to. Please rate and review us on iTunes. It helps people find us. And as always, check out our friends at Entertainment Buffet.
Subscribe to their YouTube channel.
At Entertainment Buffet.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Glass.